Hey you guys, so I wanted to come on here and do my first reaction video of this trailer for a new show called BlackAF, a new show that will soon be premiering on Netflix, and to kind of give you guys a little bit of my commentary behind my opinion of the show, as well as provide some insight as to why it is we keep running into this same dynamic with the Gen Z demographic. So just to kind of get started, the cast of the show is Kenya Barris, who stars and also created this show, as well as Blackish and its spinoffs Mixish and Grownish. You have Rashida Jones, you have Iman Benson, Scarlett Spencer, Ravi Cabot Conyers, and Genya Walton, as well as Justine Claiborne. Now, just a disclaimer before I really get into this, I haven't watched Blackish before or any of its affiliates, so you guys will have to bear with me if there are some kind of discrepancies or inaccuracies in my interpretation of this depiction. So, first off, when we look at the cast, already there's a notable problem here. The show appears to have a number of different biracial cast members, and to me, it doesn't seem realistic to name a show Black as if you have a predominantly mixed cast. But of course, with the pathology we actually have in our community, we still unfortunately subscribe to the one drop rule, where if you have 1% black blood in your DNA, then by the black community's definition, you're black. And I really don't understand that fallacy, but I mean, it's whatever at this point, because even though I find it annoying that we don't have the proper distinctions or apply them when and where necessary, people are still going to classify you as whatever society sees you as. Now, obviously, the typical black person's phenotype is that of a dark or light skin complexion with traditional Africanoid features. You have things like 4 type texture hair, or in some cases 3, wide nose, fuller lips, dark complected eyes. And I understand that, there may be outliers that will apply, such as atavism, where a gene from a distant ancestor may just manifest in a child, such as green eyes or blue eyes, because that can happen. But the thing about it is, in average cases, a black person is distinguishable from a biracial person, unless, of course, the biracial person takes on like a black phenotype, such as the case with a person like Barack Obama or Tracy Ellis Ross, who most people just view as a black man or a black woman. And my final disclaimer before I really get into this, because I know a lot of you may try and misinterpret what I'm saying. A lot of you may think that I harbor some form of vitriol towards biracial people, even though I only make the distinctions where necessary. But I can assure you I do not have hostility or animus towards anyone as it pertains to their genetic makeup. I'm not making an effort to try to malign anybody, the whole nine. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this trailer.
Hey guys.
KB, what's up, dog?
Thank you guys for hopping on this call. I think we have to be able to talk honestly if we want our art to progress. What do you think about my show, Blackish?
It's fine.
Blackish seems to tap into the hearts and minds of 55-year-old white women.
Guess there was no ride along too.
Whoa, is that what we're doing now?
Dude, you literally say no to nothing.
I probably would have said no to night school.
Oh, I'm sorry. Night school made $100 million, so you'd have been saying no to that, sir.
So I'm making this documentary about my family, and they kind of stick out. Just keep this long and loose. I want you to catch everything. There's a lot of us.
And these are our parents.
Okay, so we're already starting this off with a stereotype. I don't know about you guys, but doesn't this give you serious white Hollywood vibes? Like when one of those white media execs say, hey, let's get the rapper to rap in the background to make it seem like we're really cool and we're just so down with the cultural vibes. I mean, to me, it seems so embellished and exaggerated that the overall feel for these shows comes off across as disingenuous, and it doesn't have any authenticity to it. So when I look at this show from a logical standpoint, and yes, I know it's a comedy, whatever, I'm trying to understand the purpose behind the stereotypical portrayals and why a black man feels the need to perpetuate these cliche images. Also, I think for the black people who value other black people and understand the propaganda out there and promotion for these interracial relationships, we need to understand that Kenya Barris views his work through the lenses of what white media outlets find appealing. And if a black person is in a show produced by Hollywood, Hollywood obviously doesn't want to see a black man and a black woman loving each other in a normal, healthy, and flourishing environment. They see it as, look, black man, you can be successful, but the only way you're going to attain that success is if we pair you with this woman who doesn't look like you, So we can show to America that black people are only capable of being successful if they are paired up with someone who doesn't look like them. And I actually remember, I think it was some time ago, Kenya Barris, I think, probably sees value in people who are lighter than him, because in an article some time ago where he was talking about the shows that he produced, he created them in a way, he created them that way because this is his perception of what blackness is, to my knowledge. And so here it is, you have a man who is clueless about blackness, or maybe wasn't raised in an environment with two loving black parents, or maybe he was. Again, I'm just speculating here. But if this was a case, it would explain why his perception of blackness is that of a stereotype. The rap music, the dances, etc. So when that is not what, obviously we know that's not what blackness encompasses at all. It may be a piece of our culture, but it seems like it's never anything genuine. It's like it's not real. So he also, at the beginning of this trailer, has to turn to other black producers for advice on what he should do to have a sustainable show that shows black people in a normal environment. And nothing's wrong with that. But this highlights how much he's out of touch with black reality that he doesn't even know. Therefore, he needs to turn to other black people and say, hey, you're black. What do I do? And let's just go ahead and continue with this.
It's just a day for you, Mommy.
You're such a bad mom. Whatever question you ask, the answer is because of slavery. It's my North Star. The chains, the cars.
I begged him not to get it. Begged him.
She said she begged me?
Now, I swear to God, if you don't buy this shit, I will go somebody with this exact same car. That's how I felt. When you were mixed mother, you were constantly tested on your blackness. Name the Fab Five. Name the Jackson Five. Name all the members of the Wayans family.
I wish they would really stop doing this, you guys. I'm not saying that mixed people don't go through their own personal struggles with how to fit in, but black people in general have had problems much bigger than begging for validation from a society who could care less about how they're perceived. Not trying to make it sound like that one struggle is worse than the others, but it kind of is in terms of black people, because black people have been dealing with systemic issues for centuries. And we can't pretend that things haven't gotten any better. The only thing that's different is that we have integration, not liberation. And trust me when I say that these two are not interchangeable, but I get so tired of hearing this narrative talking about, oh, this is how I grew up, and one side wouldn't accept me, and I wasn't black enough for this side, and it's like, okay. So the references, I mean, goodness, do you guys see what I mean? Basically limiting the entire black culture down to these caricatures. I mean, this is like a modern day variation of a minstrel show. So in the 1 minute and 30 seconds of this trailer, so far the only thing I've seen is stereotypes, negative representations of black culture, and white mediocrity indirectly ingratiated within the sanctity of the perceived visual of a black show called BlackAF.
Do you know? No.
Mom, come on. You're the whitest person I know.
Hey, at least if you're gonna shoot a gun, shoot it like that. Have you ever seen Boys in the Hood? Let's go.
Let's go.
I mean, we might argue
Great earrings. What are those, door knockers?
amongst ourselves,
Remind me to change my will.
but if you come for our family, hi, babe.
Hey, Mom.
Look at that hair, purple.
You're gonna get that smoke.
So hip hop, girl.
Liddy. You don't want that smoke.
Anyway, what were you saying about your tiny house with no electricity?
Blah, blah, blah. Wow. What is all this?
Just little swag bags for kids at the party.
Samsung watches, earbuds, Fendi keychains? Are the kids Golden Globe nominees?
Just little knickknacks. Relax, dude.
That's crazy. This would be a great place to play Count the Black People.
That'll be a very short game.
Incredibly short.
I needed some shit with some bop in it.
Hey, what's up, cuz? Wanna holler at you about something. Look, my life, that shit like a movie. It's like Deep Cover meets Juwanna Man. It's your classic comedy about a man putting on a wig. Tootsie, Something Like It Hot. Miss Doubtfire. Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
I mean, it like Harrison, baby.
Somebody please make them make sense. I will not be watching this show. I mean, is there a specific reason why this portrayal is repeatedly shown with no intermission? Yes. The short answer is social engineering and susceptibility. And let me explain to you guys what I mean by this. through means of repetition, the more and more that you see a behavior, a pattern of some sort, there is an increased likelihood that the audience watching will engage in the same behavior. Even though the show should be called lame as F, the fact that they went past a point that I didn't even think was possible really speaks volumes. And I find it interesting that someone managed to cross the threshold of the beyond level. I mean, you know, like when you hear beyond, yeah, Kenya crossed that line. He did it so immaculately that I simply cannot even fathom the thought process that goes through his mind when he writes these shows. And I think his objective is to try and get us to see that mixed people face some type of struggle that other people don't. And again, I understand this, but black people are on a level of oppression times a million. Now, obviously, black people are subject to things like hair discrimination. They're subject to being ostracized for having non-traditional features that don't adhere to a Eurocentric beauty standard. And I can actually speak from experience on this on myself, because when I was in elementary school, I actually had two biracial classmates at the time. And whenever we were in the same class, because we actually were in the same class together, I kid you not, the children from the dominant society actually preferred to hang out and be in teams with these other students, actually more so than the other 3 black students that were also in that same class, including myself. So with that, I ask that our people not become indoctrinated to these depictions. I know that it's supposed to be a comedy or whatever, but representation makes a huge difference in how you're portrayed. And with this, they're basically saying biracials by definition, according to the show, are black because half the cast is biracial and the show is called Black as F. So they're trying to blur the lines and say, well, if you're biracial, you're black, which is not the case. Our genetic structure is different from a person who's biracial. So some simple biology for you. If a biracial person has a child with a black person, the child obviously will have a black phenotype. If a biracial child has a child with someone from if a biracial person has a child with someone from the dominant society, the child will be whiter in appearance. Even we can even look at this because it's a recent example. We can look at Drake's son. Drake's baby obviously is white passing. He may have something like 25% black blood, but the majority is white. So I feel like I also need to say this because it will help some of you to understand why it's a problem to just give blackness to people who don't want to identify that way. A person that has, let's say, less than 50% black blood more than likely will visibly be mixed. They'll have like a mixed phenotype, but their skin tone will be noticeably lighter, possibly to the point where the individual could identify as white. And let us just say that the U.S. government and the United Nations reach an agreement to give reparations to ADOS or American descendants of slavery. I can guarantee you the palest of the pale will come forward to basically try to say that, you know, because we have 1% black blood, that classifies us as black. Therefore, we would qualify for reparations for American descendants of slavery. And that's why I'm telling you guys, that one drop rule actually has scarred our community so much. But the irony behind that is some of you claim that we're no longer slaves, but this was a rule created during the era of slavery. So whenever you sit up here and try to claim everybody, you are essentially clinging to a rule that was created during the time of when slavery was at the height of grandeur. So I feel like that this is something that probably should serve as a follow-up video, probably like on ancestry, but I'll save that for a later time. But anyway, let me know you guys' thoughts on Black as F. Do you think that an agenda is present when 3 shows with identical casts keeps being syndicated with the same narrative, or do you think that this is all sheer coincidence? Make sure you get in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.